Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you are watching or listening to this, and welcome to Link Up Leaders, your direct link to leaders in supply chain and e-commerce. My name is Lisa Kinski. I'm your producer and co-host, and joined as always by Francois Jeffrey. Francois, how are you doing today, dear?
I am great on this fantastic Monday. How are you?
I'm good. I love that every day you give me a wave. I didn't want to point it out because I don't want you to stop doing it, but it's just you always like wait until I'm done, then you go, hello. It's so cute.
It feels right. I don't know. I did it the first few times and I was like, I'm going to stick to this.
We're
Why
going to do
not?
this. I'm definitely a waiver. Do you remember that being a big debate when everybody went virtual and started working from home and they were having like Skype meetings and Zoom meetings? It's like, are you a waiver on those meetings? Like they try to make it sound like it was a cringy thing. I'm like, I'm trying to make it more like a real life thing. Like
Yeah.
I do
I
this
didn't
because I'm
know.
used to waving to children, but I like even like when I'm
Yeah.
leaving restaurants, I'm like, bye guys, thank you. Like it's a normal thing to do. So you're a waiver.
I guess I did not realize that that was a thing. But yes, I am a waiver. Why not?
Are you a real life waiver too?
Um, I'm a pointer in real life. So I go,
A pointer.
yeah, I'm like Lisa. I'm not doing that. Like, hey.
I had a boss. His name was Woody. He was the general manager of Brunswick Zone in Kennesaw. And he always made this point to say, he hated when you would point to something. He always wanted us to motion towards something. So he said that, I can't remember exactly what he said, but that a point was more like kind of abrasive and like accusatory and came off the wrong way. And so he wanted us to motion, like your lanes are 29 and 28 over here, as opposed to pointing. He's also the one who broke me of saying no problem because he didn't like the way it came off that there was a problem to begin with. So that's why I
Yeah.
always say no worries now. And it's so ingrained.
I see what he means. But so my
Mhm.
dad used to be a pointer for people crossing the road. And it was from his military background, I guess, when he was in the Foreign Legion. And whenever, usually you'll be like, yeah, go ahead. He would go, you there. I was like, okay, that is. So I do that now. And I'm like, I guess I do want you to go there, but I could be a little bit more polite. Now that you're bringing this up, I could probably, yes, be a little bit less abrasive.
That's
just wave them
hilarious.
on. Just tell them to go.
Well, it also depends on the situation of the driving,
Mm,
right? So like I don't love to like lay on my horn and stuff, but like this morning this person completely stopped in a keep moving lane and I was like, "Bro, get on it." And I was like, oh,
Are you a
sometimes
talker?
you need to point. Am I a
Are you a
what?
behind the wheel talker? So Kate, for example, she is a
Yes.
big, she will carry a conversation as if they were talking back to her.
Mhm.
And it's like by the motion that they're doing, are they actually moving after she yelled at them to move with the windows up, or are they not moving? And that gives me, I don't know. There's no intention to it, but I understand it. It's an emotional thing.
I I'm a crazy person. I think I got so used to having another living thing in the house for so long that I was constantly talking to Mick, and now I'm just an
Hmm.
insane woman who just talks to herself all day long. But I 100% do talk to other drivers. And especially if
Okay.
they're like if I'm coming through an intersection and it looks like they're coming the wrong way,
Yeah.
I had a cousin get in a bad accident getting T-boned. And so I'm always afraid of getting T-boned. And so if they're coming on it too hot, I'm like, baby, I need you to sit right there. I need you to slow down. Like
Yeah.
I speak to them like they can hear me.
Nope. I hmm, I send bad voodoo their way, but I don't speak to them.
That's
I
so
guess it's a
funny.
polite way
That's
to say
almost
it.
worse.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I will let them know through the horn, and I will lay on my horn. It was so bad to the point where I had to replace horn on my old Toyota twice. Three? It was the third horn by the time I gave the car away to my nephew. But
Good Lord, Francois.
I lay on my horn. It's the only way they know. It's the only way they get out of the
Well,
way, or just keep going. Or
you know what I want to do? I want to install one of those
I know what you're saying.
programmable LED signs in my
Oh, okay.
windows so that I
Yeah.
can voice to talk, like talk to the hell is it? Talk to text the message that I want them to read and have it light up
Yeah.
and give them my answer, not my answer, my thoughts on their driving directly. And that is
Yeah.
what we are talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. Direct marketing, a seamless transition. Let's go on ahead and bring our guest on board. We're talking about direct marketing with I believe the CEO, oh gosh, I don't even have the title written down, of Postalytics, Dennis Kelly. Dennis, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I love the big wave.
Dude, fantastic, man. What's
Really
the weather
doing
like
great.
in Boston?
We are facing down a nasty nor'easter that is going to deliver some 15 to 20 foot waves on the coast here. So we're battening down the hatches.
Can I show my southern weather ignorance? I don't know what a nor'easter is. I've lived in Atlanta my whole life. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, it's a bit of a northeastern phrase for obvious reasons. So essentially, when you guys send us up a big storm and it gets stuck off the coast because of the Canadian Maritimes that sort of stick out into the Atlantic, your storms end up sometimes sitting there and swirling for a few days and just pounding us.
Oh gosh.
So that's what's happening.
Well, we are sorry about that. You know what? We'll blame Florida, honestly.
Yeah, blame Florida. It's all Florida's fault, isn't it always?
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a great plan, and I might just land my horn the next time that I'm thinking about
it. There you go. Boston. Talking about driving, Boston is one of the best cities I've ever driven in.
Really?
Some of the most aggressive. They will turn. They will cut across 3 lanes because they know where they need to go. It is the most intentional driving around anywhere that I've ever been. California, it was horrible. Everyone was slow. There were 6 lanes, but everyone drove the same speed. Here, traffic is like none other, but people get in accidents all the time. Boston, the few times that I've driven through Boston, everyone has an intention. Everyone knows where they're going, and I love it. And they tell you how they feel if you're not doing the right thing. So they're in Jersey, the 2 places.
We are very transparent with our feelings about driving, and so I think that the talk to text LED light is something that would really take off here. That sounds like a side gig for Lisa to me.
I think it's a winning. We could even have like a little remote with pre-programmed messages. Get off your phone. Yeah. It's green. Like any number of things.
Yeah, and you may see some words that you would otherwise not visualize if you were driving around here.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I'll pre-program those too. I can make them regionally specific. That's what we can do.
Hurry up, y'all. Well, that's what they do on the traffic signs here too. It's they do y'all here, but they don't do it up in Virginia or DC or any of these areas.
You've got to know
it's
your
hilarious.
audience.
I know, it's very clever actually. And knowing your audience is also a perfect segue into what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So Dennis, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do? And what I was saying before we went live too is I just noticed on your logo, I always knew that it was, and we were talking about this today, Francois, about when you put 2 words together and the inflection in which you read it in your head. I always read it as Postalytics, which is how it's spoken to my understanding, but it's also postal is the visual inflection, which is really clever. And I like that a lot. So tell us about Postalytics and tell us about your background.
Well, great. Thank you. That logo design was due to the fact that we employ, as we say around here, a wicked smart designer.
Love that.
So Postalytics, which I am the CEO of, is a company that is really it's one of the leading direct mail automation software startups in the world. It's a small burgeoning category of software companies that are really trying to modernize direct mail marketing. And so what we do is we have built a network of print partners around the country, and we've built a layer of cloud-based software that marketers can log into from anywhere, pull together campaigns, integrate them with their CRM and marketing automation tools, e-commerce tools, and send direct mail with sort of the same workflow that they use to send email. And we provide analytics and tracking and things that marketers are accustomed to seeing in digital and email marketing types of tools. And we package it all up, make it easy to use, and we're selling it like hotcakes.
I love it. And that's what I was so excited about this conversation when you were explaining to me what Postalytics does, because the juxtaposition, I don't know if that's even the right word, is fascinating to me, of automating direct mail. They seem so contradictory, because when you think of direct mail, the beginnings of it was the Pony Express. Before that, on a mass scale, as opposed to just like, oh, I don't know what.
Well, really, it started the sort of modern father of direct mail marketing was a guy named Montgomery Ward, who started a catalog in the Midwest, I think out of Chicago. And he sort of invented the idea of sending out things through the mail that allowed you to order things. And Montgomery Ward was a huge success for a very, very long time. And so, the idea of leveraging this distribution system that the public invests in and maintains as a way to, help brands get their messaging out and help customers understand, what companies are selling at any given point in time. It's been around for a really long time, and it's kind of been a little bit of a technology backwater for the last 20 years. And so that's really what we're trying to tackle here.
That's really interesting. I kind of like to see that it's being integrated with the new age of marketing, kind of in the same ways, like, SMS messaging is becoming SMS marketing is becoming really popular and really successful. It's kind of strange to think about, and we talked about this when we spoke with Drew, was like, texting has been around for so long, okay, relatively speaking, like, in correlation with like cell phones and stuff. But anyway, it's kind of like this old tech to us, but now it's less crowded.
Right.
But your mailbox is still crowded. So how is this successful? How does this work? Why does it work? I love it.
Well, there are a lot of dynamics that are really driving brands to take a look at direct mail marketing as a channel. And a lot of it really has to do with email and digital overload. And so I think we can all express how we feel about our email inboxes every day. And I think the number that I saw, the average business person, I think it was as of 3 years ago, receives about 120 emails a day.
Now, is that between like their primary, their social, and their promotions inboxes in Google?
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And so, a lot of us just spend our time sort of mass deleting because it's just too much to handle. And so while that has been going on, and I think we are exposed to on average 4,000 to 5,000 digital ads per day across all of our screens. And so, this idea that you can send something tangible and physical that you touch and you look at and you decide what to do with it, with using your eyes and your hands and your brain. The studies are showing that, hey, when you actually interact with something physical, you're using different parts of your brain and it touches you in a different way emotionally. And at the same time, the volume of direct mail in the United States, which is our current focus, peaked in 2008, and it's been declining ever since, because if you think about it, you're probably getting fewer bills in the mail than you used to. You're doing things online. You're not sending checks. You're not sending letters. There's been a big decline in the overall amount of mail in your box. So when you get a great big colorful postcard with some great offer on it, it stands out. And it's a simple matter of reclaiming some mind space using a channel that has historically performed well, but has historically been a challenge to sort of deal with from a logistics standpoint. And so So that's really kind of some of the fundamentals that drove us to do this. And we're seeing it play out. We're seeing customers that are having great results and, are coming back for more.
That's so interesting. You bring up kind of the psychology of how receiving a physical thing works. Because as you were saying that, I was remembering they say that you remember things better when you write it down, and especially when you write it down more times, because you're right, because your brain has to do more work to work the hand to, pick up the pen and grab the paper and write it down. And where'd you put that piece of paper? But did you say 4,000 to 5,000 ads a day were served?
Digital ads that the average consumer per day in the United States is exposed to.
That's insane.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
I mean, that's how much time we're spending online, right?
Yeah.
Well, does that, I would assume that would even include, digital ads. So not only just on websites, but like on like TikTok ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads,
Every
even
Google
like
search you make.
like sponsorships in podcasts and stuff like that. That counts as well. It's digital. It's audio, but it's digital.
It is.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Think about the Google search. You get usually like at least 3 sponsored at the very top every time.
I know, and you love clicking on them, and I always skip them.
I do. I will go back, and I said this on a few other podcasts. I will go back if I accidentally click on the free one and click on their advertisement, because I want to. They're paying for my service. If they want me to buy, they're paying for me. But I'd love to learn about your background. How did you get to sort of where we are today? And Postalytics, from what I saw, Postalytics wasn't always Postalytics, right? It rebranded.
Good point. Yeah. So I've been involved in starting up and financing and operating early stage technology businesses here in the Boston area for a long time. And so this is actually my 6th startup. And, it's kind of where I like to live. I like to try to be involved in things at a very early stage. And, the whole idea of being strategic while at the same time being, getting your hands dirty and really doing the work and being tactical. I love it. And, maybe it's the fact I grew up on a farm, I really like to get my hands dirty but try to figure out, what's happening in the bigger picture. I don't know, but that's really what I found to be most fulfilling in my career. And so, I'm always drawn back to doing another startup. So a few years ago, I had sold a business and took some time with the family and I was reconnected with a really brilliant software architect who I had worked with a couple of times previously, but it had been probably 10 or 15 years. And turns out that he lived right near me, and he just pinged me and said, "Hey, Dennis, I heard you're in the area, and why don't you check out this cool little side gig that I've started up?" And so we sat down and looked at the software that he had built, and it was designed to help marketers sort of get more out of their direct mail marketing campaigns. And he had designed some software that allows you to track the online response to direct mail, and then to take the data that's used to drive a personalized direct mail campaign and surround it with email marketing and text messaging, so that you could build a multi-channel campaign. And I thought, this is pretty cool. As I said, direct mail was sort of declining in popularity, but there's been a big investment in marketing technology. And so I thought, maybe there's something here. So we decided to get together and really sort of focus on building out this other software that we call BoyNet. And we were selling that software to what I guess I would call today the legacy direct mail marketing industry. The folks that have been doing it for a really long time at scale, and so big brands and print service providers and agencies that focus on direct marketing. And we did that for a couple of years, and it was just a slog trying to sell. and we were thinking, well, what is it? We had great content, we had great software, and good salespeople, and we just sort of realized, what, this group of people we're trying to sell to, they're not the most technology friendly group, and so the business ended up being very services centric. So we had a big services group that after we'd sell it, we'd spend all this time sort of setting everything up and managing it for our clients. And we thought, this isn't what we want to do. We want to be a software company. We want to scale. And we had a couple of customers come to us and say, you know what, guys, you're living in this sort of hybrid world between digital and direct mail. We've just invested in HubSpot. We've got a big Salesforce integration going on. We'd love to use direct mail and leverage our infrastructure. Can you guys help us? And so, we had a few of those conversations and spoke with some of those clients and thought, you know what? That's the market that we need to be building a product for, because there are so many businesses that are investing in marketing technology at the kind of infrastructure level. And if we can connect direct mail to that infrastructure and make the experience as easy as email marketing, then maybe we got something. And so that's really why we ended up where we are today. Is we had this experience with building a product that, while it was great software, really was focused on the wrong market. And so we took a year and sort of repackaged and came back out as Postalytics, and we launched at HubSpot's Inbound conference, and things just kind of took off. And it was funny because at that first conference, we had people walking up. We had a big booth and sign that said direct mail automation, and they were saying exactly what you said, Lisa. Like, isn't that an oxymoron? Those words all together, like, that doesn't make sense to me. Tell me more.
That's a great way to pull people into a booth, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something tricky to leverage, right? Because you're thinking of, I'm in my later 20s, and I personally hate direct mail. But if I do see an offer, or my girlfriend, she's a lot better at direct mail, as long as it's not coming from the bank or Red Cross or one of the donation services. But if it's for, like, I don't know if Wish or Abercrombie, for example, is a great one. Orvis, that used to be a dog brand, does great catalogs that, or is a dog brand for pet supplies. They do great jobs at it. But how do you, I guess, segment direct mail marketing? Like, how do you get any of this potential contact information, demographics? Is that all public information?
There is a tremendous amount of public information, because when you think about it, all of our address data is listed in government directories, and so the fact of the matter is that homeowners have a tremendous amount of information that is publicly available, and you can just go to government websites and sources and get it. And so, but what we've done that is really different and new is that we've connected our software into the core CRM and marketing automation tools that are driving multi-channel marketing campaigns. And so, rather than thinking of direct mail as a standalone channel, which is kind of what it has been through most of its history, we make direct mail really something that is a part of a broader strategy, where there's existing infrastructure that is driving email marketing, digital marketing, even text marketing. And we make direct mail an easy extra touch. And so fundamentally, we're sort of changing the use cases for direct mail. It's not just about blasting out millions of catalogs and millions of letters, and trying to get the 1.5–2% response rate to make it work. It's really more about using print to make that big emotional impact that maybe then I respond online, or maybe when I get that email that is delivering the same offer, I say, oh, yeah, that I remember that. Yeah, I got that postcard yesterday. So that's really kind of the dynamic here that is new. It's a coordinated effort to complement email and digital.
And you're right, it totally works that way, because I love Bed Bath & Beyond for a number of reasons. I've also been to 100 weddings, and I'm in there at least 6 times a year to buy things for those weddings. But when I'm just going there for my own stuff, I am reminded to go, and that there's something there that I want because of the physical mailer that I get, the 20% off your entire purchase that they always send me, like, all the time. I love how often I get them, but I inevitably forget it at home. But it's okay, because I also know my 20% off code is in my email. So I get played by Bed Bath & Beyond all the time. And it totally works.
Well, I think you've touched on it, because what we've found and what's been happening kind of at a broader level, some of those dynamics that we discussed prior, where the amount of volume in the mailbox has been declining, while the personalization technology and the ability to target and get people a message at a very critical point in time has really started to drive response rates up. And so, in fact, we did a study that showed back in 2010, the average consumer response rate to direct mail was about 2% for a sort of a cold lead list, and about 4% for what they call house list, or your existing customer base. And in 2018, both of those numbers had more than doubled. Wow. Because the technology is getting better, the volume is lower, and each one of these pieces that you receive is really more thoughtful, and it's been more highly targeted, it's more personalized. And so, the days of junk mail are, largely behind us. You still get some, right? That it is just sort of throwaway stuff. Sure. But if you think back to 15 or 20 years ago, like, your mailbox was just overwhelmed with stuff. People would just shovel it away. It's really not like that anymore.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and bringing in the mail for my parents, and my dad sitting at the table, sorting through it, and handing me back almost as fat as an original stack of saying, "Here, go throw this away for me." Like, the majority of it went in the trash can. And I had another thought that I was going to say too, but I totally threw myself off. But how does the direct mail marketing work for e-commerce businesses, since their business is housed online, kind of entirely dependent on, the digital age and the adoption of the internet and all of those things, kind of taking it back to the analog side of things. How does that work with them? Because, like I just said, Bed Bath & Beyond, I walk myself into that store. It's also very conveniently located less than a mile from my apartment. But, how can they direct folks to their site through the direct mail when we're, like you said, we're so inundated with ads and spending so much more time online going other places?
Sure. Well, there's a few things about e-commerce specifically that really make direct mail, when properly deployed, a very powerful channel. First, most e-commerce companies have great addresses. And so when you think about it, if I'm sending my product to somebody when they've ordered, then you've got a pretty good address, right? You don't need to pay any extra money for that address. And so a lot of times e-commerce marketers are able to really think through multi-channel strategies where they're able to send direct mail out, particularly when other less expensive channels are maybe not working as well. So, for example, we have a customer who has had an existing win-back campaign to try to get clients who hadn't ordered in 6 months to come back and re-engage. And But what happens over time is that the response rates on your email campaigns that are designed to win back these customers, they slowly fade away. They slowly drop. And so what our customer did was they said, hey, I'm going to plug direct mail into this so that I'll set up a little workflow in my marketing automation tools so that when I have a customer who has ignored 3 emails in a row, hasn't even opened, then I'm going to start sending them some direct mail. And you know what? It's an amazing way to re-engage with clients who have slowly dropped off your less expensive per contact channels, and then bring them back into the fold. And so that's a really common use case to have direct mail really focus on complementing and boosting your email in particular.
Have you guys seen the TikTok of the woman like putting her shoes on or whatever, and it says, sis, if he's not answering your phone calls or text messages, it just means he wants to see you in person. Go over to his house. That's how that sounded to me. Like, if I'm gonna come see you one way or another, you're gonna hear what I have to say. That was such a fun association.
I think taking a step back, what sort of conversations are you having with your clients before they're even clients? I guess what do they have to have set up in their workflow? What sort of tools are they even using to manage them effectively?
Yeah, so what's really great about what we're doing, we've created a freemium version of Postalytics, so you can sign up online and use the software for free, and you can simply just pay us for every piece of mail that you send, and you can test out the software, and you can test out direct mail, taking a step back even more. And so to date, we've signed up close to 5,000 businesses, and 2/3 of them were not sending direct mail prior to using Postalytics.
Okay.
And so the types of questions that we get are really often very fundamental, like, tell me about direct mail. I'm curious, I've heard about it. I'm seeing my email marketing numbers decline. So help us understand best practices. Help us understand how we can leverage our investment in marketing tech. How can we leverage our workflows to, have direct mail begin to complement in a way that we can test, that we can learn how we best can market using this different channel, and so it's really exciting for us because we didn't think we'd be growing the market for direct mail like this, but that's really what's happening. We're bringing businesses in that really don't have a lot of experience with direct mail, and we're giving them a tool that eliminates a lot of the friction that held people back from trying it before. So a lot of our conversations are really kind of at that fundamental level, around how should I as a marketer be thinking about this? And it's really one of the areas that we can grow as a business and continue to bring more resources and more expertise together for our customers, so that when they do want to test and they do want to learn some of the best practices techniques, that we've got experts that are right there ready for them to help.
I'm just thinking about like the logistics of it now. You said that you're working with printers, you're partnering with printers around the US, correct?
Correct.
Are your clients are they connected directly with that printer to design their mailer, or are they sending that all through you guys?
Yeah, great question. So we've built software that makes the creative process far more simple. Okay. And so traditionally, to do a direct mail campaign, you'd hire a graphic designer to do some creative work, and then you got to get your head figured out. You got to get all of the limitations that the U.S. Postal Service puts in place around what mail has to look like to get decent pricing on postage. And you don't want to be paying the full like letter price for every single piece of mail that you send. It get prohibitively expensive. But if you follow certain guidelines that the Postal Service put in place, you can design mailers that get better rates, and so you can scale at a much more affordable rate. And so we've kind of taken that offline process that has been done between a graphic designer and organizations that are known as mail houses that kind of help these designers with the specifications. We've put that all online. And so a marketer can open up what we call a template that is pre-approved and we know will be, fall precisely within all of the guidelines every single time. And they can drag and drop and they can design postcards and letters without having to go through this tremendously long process to get the creative put in place.
I love it. That's so smart. I didn't even consider, the only thing that I consider whenever I'm sending letters is like weight, like the weight of it. Like if I'm going to send like a bunch of gift cards to a couple of family members, like, is it too heavy? Do I need 2 stamps? But I never even realized you don't want to be, how much is a stamp now? 47?
I don't know.
57 cents.
It's 57 cents. I didn't even think about like a business is not going to be paying 57 cents per stamp. Like it's way less than that. Of course it is, Lisa. Why would it be that much?
Well, I mean, 57 cents to get someone back doesn't seem expensive. I mean, especially with PPC costs only rising and those skyrocketing on Amazon particularly, but across the board, right? Facebook is becoming more competitive. Instagram is becoming more competitive. TikTok's only going to become more competitive. Mm-hmm. I guess what sort of information do they need about their demographics to put these types of content together, right? It's if I'm targeting, let's say, a family or a single family home with 2 kids for something that's a little bit more expensive, maybe than someone that's traditionally buying like a $5 product from me. I guess what do I have to think about for my demographics to put together an effective direct marketing campaign?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways to think about your demographic and psychographic types of breakdowns, and so your segmentation can run, very detailed, and so you can get lists that you can use, kind of unlike email marketing, where it's really a no-no to grab a third-party list and send to that. With direct mail, it's very easily done, and there's no law against it, and it's just a very common thing. So you can grab lists based on geography, based on income, based on family size, gender, all sorts of demographics, and then you can also get list data that is broken down based on purchasing behavior, and so you can find lists of people that are interested in dogs. You can find lists of people that are interested that are new movers. That's a huge one. When people move into a new apartment or a new home, they spend more in the first 6 months than they spend in the next 3 years. And so really getting that data early and being out in front of your competitors when you service a local geography is super important. And so there's a tremendous amount of data that's available out there. A lot of our customers are also using their own internal data. And so, for example, we have a lot of software companies that are sending out personalized letters when a customer upgrades from one service tier to another. They get a letter from the CEO thanking them. When a customer lapses a credit card and there's been no response to the emails that go out, they're automatically dropped into a postcard marketing automation. And so there are a lot of ways that the data that is happening inside of software can really be the thing that is driving that interaction.
And where are they getting this data? Aside from the ones that have their own data, right? Where can they start to, I guess, really hone in on some of these demographics, like the geography? I know you said there's public lists out there, but where can you find them?
Well, there are a lot of great data companies that pull this data together, and so we often will. Well, we're not a data company; we're really a software company. We work with a lot of these folks, and so our customers will come to us and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about a mailing to do the following things." We'll connect them with one of our partners that are in the data business, and so there's really there are companies that have very easily defined lists and tools that allow you to kind of go on and self-select and download lists. And then there are other companies that are really brokers who can go find specialty lists. So for example, Lisa, you brought up weddings earlier. You can find lists of people who are, subscribed to wedding magazines or other wedding media properties, and then target them with particular offers. So, there's really an incredible amount of data out there that is, easily accessed just by kind of connecting to the right sources.
And then, so we have sort of the how. What's the next step in regards to tracking? Because that is a big part of this, right? Compared to the traditional method of doing where it's very hard to track, how do you streamline this process using your services, for example?
Yeah, great question. So there are a couple of elements to that. And so part of the way that we think about this, and going back to that email marketing model that we talked about in the beginning, we had built some email marketing tools, and we saw how email marketing could be effective and how easy it was, and the analytics that are readily available. And so when you think about it, there's tracking at the delivery level, right? So how many of my messages are getting through? How many of them are, bouncing? And so that's been a huge problem for direct mail traditionally, right? Like, most of the time direct mailers, they send out campaigns and then, just wait for calls coming in or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so, however, there's some little known technology that the U.S. Postal Service applies to every piece of mail that qualifies for a discounted kind of commercial machinable type of postage.
Okay.
And there's a program that they've built. It's called the Intelligent Mail Barcode. And it's their own internal tracking tool to kind of keep track of where all the mail is in this, massive distribution network that they've created. Mm-hmm. And it can be publicly available if you apply for a permit and you go through their process and kind of get your head wrapped around their 30-year-old software. You can access this data. And so what we've done is we've tied a contact that comes in from a third-party system like a HubSpot or a Salesforce or a Shopify, and we've tied a barcode to that contact in our software so that when the mailer goes out, we know that Francois is going to get this piece of mail with this barcode on it. And then as it is scanned through the entire process by the Postal Service, we're gathering that data and we're aggregating it in a dashboard that looks exactly like an email marketing dashboard. And we're telling you, where your mail is in the process. We're telling you what's been delivered, what's hit the Postal Service's return to sender scan, and we're updating your addresses and saying, don't send to this email, don't send to this physical address anymore. It's no good, right? Mm-hmm. Don't waste your money. And so, that whole idea of deliverability that you focus on in email marketing, now we're able to provide from a direct mail standpoint. The other key part of this is response, right? How are we going to capture the response metrics in some rational way? And so traditionally, this is something that is done by e-commerce players and retailers well after the fact. Sometimes 3-4 months later, they run these kind of big offline analyses that are called a matchback analysis to see, you know, what's been sold versus who's been mailed to. But you know, if you're trying to think of, you know, marketing in a digital way or in a, you know, in a multi-channel way, that doesn't cut it, right? You need data instantly. So we've created some technology that we brought forth from our first product that allows you to generate a unique QR code for each piece of mail that goes out. And so on that mailer that Francois is going to be sent with that unique barcode that is tracking where that postcard or letter is in the process, there's also a QR code that is the focal point of the call to action. And over the last few years, as you know, QR code usage has been exploding, and people are so much more comfortable in the US using barcodes than they had been. And so all you got to do is get that mailer, point your camera at it, and you're off to the races. And so then we know, hey, it's Francois. He responded to this particular piece of mail at this time, at this date. Here's where he went on your site and whether or not he hit your conversion goal. So what you see, again, very much like email marketing, it's all bubbled up. We get great detail. We're able to take that data, sync it back into your CRM or your marketing automation tool. So then, hey, I can trigger a piece of mail on the day that piece of mail, I can trigger an email the day that piece of mail is delivered. And then the moment Francois hits his QR code, I can trigger maybe a text message to go out or a call from a rep or another touch that is pre-programmed in a workflow.
What is the opportunity, not to play devil's advocate, but like thinking in the situation of sending a mailer to Francois, if you were to send him a postcard or something with that QR code on it, and his girlfriend Kate got the mail and she was like, oh, what's this? Maybe not seeing his name, or maybe just being like, oh, this looks cool, I want to check it out. And she scans it from her phone and then makes a purchasing decision that may be very different from what he would have done. How is that reflected in the data? Is he just now have Kate's buying tendencies on the back end, or how does that work?
Well, that's a great question. And so from, you know, the Postalytics side, today we can't distinguish, right, between Francois or his girlfriend making that QR code scan. However, I mentioned before that notion of the matchback report, right? So I get a dump out of my e-commerce system, I get a dump out of my direct mailing list, and I you know, sort of match everything up. Well, what we're working on is a way for marketers to get instant access, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all software. And so if I'm pulling in data from Shopify and I'm pushing data back into Shopify, I can get the data that will give you an instant, hey, this address created this sale, or at least was a part of making this sale happen. And so then it can be more generalized information than just specifically Francois.
Gotcha.
And where are you seeing, I guess, what stage of the life cycle are you seeing a lot of these brands use direct mail? Is it more so? No, it's my current question, Lisa.
Damn.
Are they using it more so in like the awareness, consideration, decision? I mean, I guess it's different for everyone. For example, if you're just starting up, it's almost always going to be in the awareness stage. But where are you seeing a lot of these e-commerce brands use it?
Well, I think that's really something that we're seeing change. And traditionally, direct mail was primarily used for like a lead generation program, awareness stage types of activities where, you know, you're buying a big list and you're sending out a big campaign with, you know, a large number of records. And a lot of it has to do with the unit costs that are associated with traditional print. right? So if you think about it, the way that it used to work, I would get a list together, I would get some creative together, I would work with a print partner. They would do a test run for me, send me the pieces back, I'd critique it, we'd go through this process a couple times. And then when it's time to do the campaign, there's a person that is running a machine that has to create a run that is bespoke. It is a one-off. So each campaign is a different thing in a traditional direct mail environment. So the unit costs then are far lower when spread out over a very large number of pieces of mail, right? So, that the cost of that person who gets paid a lot of money to run this very sophisticated machinery gets spread out over, 50,000 postcards, as opposed to, 10 or 20 or 100, right? That's a far lower per unit cost. But with direct mail automation, we're aggregating all of the mail together across hundreds of customers every day. And so we're enabling you to send a single piece of mail out of a triggered workflow for a fraction of what the true cost of that effort would be if it were done in a traditional way. And so we've enabled all these new use cases. So long answer, getting back to your question, while there's still a lot of the kind of awareness stage stuff going on, because we can trigger a piece of mail to go out through a workflow, we're able to have direct mail complement your email and digital work throughout the cycle, throughout the funnel. So decision stage, post sale, there's tons of post sale stuff going on that has never really existed before. Onboarding processes, loyalty, win back, all of these things are data-driven triggered events that come out of your software and can drive individual pieces of mail to go to the right person at the right time.
And then what's the average cost to do something like that? I know you're saying the costs are going down, but for example, a postcard mail campaign, what's the average cost for, let's say, 1 to 5,000 people?
I was about to say it would depend on the volume you're sending out, right?
Yes.
It would be tiered pricing, I would assume.
Yes. So you can send 1 to 5,000 postcards for like 60 cents each, all in, fully bundled, right? The printing, the postage, and everything else. And so, you're able, if you think about that, as you were pointing out earlier, Francois, on a relative basis, the drastically escalating costs associated with digital marketing, the cost of a direct mail piece is not nearly as great in a relational basis as it was 5 years ago, right? Because, cost of postage has gone up just a little bit, and the cost of digital ads have gone way up.
Right.
Absolutely. And I assume that this is U.S. Postal Service within the contiguous 48, correct? Or does this?
Actually, the U.S. Postal Service delivers anywhere in the 50.
Okay.
As well as all U.S. territories and military bases.
Dang.
Yes.
I didn't know they did all that.
Yes,
Makes
it did.
sense.
It does. And,
It does make sense,
exciting news. We are working really hard to launch in Canada. And so
Love it.
we're going to be launching with a native Canadian print partner and with Canada Post here in Q4. And so marketers that have Canadian customers will be able to send process mail through Postalytics, and we will intelligently route the mail to either a US printer or a Canadian printer and apply the proper postage and do all the things that we do in the US, regardless of which side of the border you're on.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And hopefully by the time the audio version of this episode comes out in early January 2022, because this is our first episode of the new year through Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, that would have come to fruition. So looking forward to seeing that official announcement news hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
Dennis, as we grow near the end of the episode, is there kind of a sweet spot or a best size business that is a size of business that is best fit to work with Postalytics?
Yeah, great question. So we have targeted what we call the tech-enabled SMB, right?
Okay.
So you're a small to mid-sized business that has invested in marketing technology to kind of operate as the backbone of your approach to sales and marketing. And so typically that then means that most of our customers are somewhere between, say, 20 employees on the low side and 1,000 on the high side. I'd say the average client has 50 to 100 employees, some sort of CRM, marketing automation tool, e-commerce stack that they've got a small marketing team that uses, and they want to either do their direct mail in a smart way and a far more time efficient way, or they want to try direct mail. They want to add it to their mix and learn and test and figure out how they can best leverage it.
So there's no minimum though of like you need to send at least 2,000 pieces of mail a year to work with Postalytics or anything like that.
No, you can send one piece of mail and we're just as happy as if not just as happy, but you can send one piece of mail and we'll be very happy.
Perfect. And if somebody does want to use Postalytics, or if they just want to learn more about your service, where can they find more information?
We are on the web at www.postalytics.com, and we've got a tremendous amount of content there, huge knowledge base, videos, case studies, blog posts, lots of great stuff. We're also active on social media. We've got a great YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content that we're pushing out into Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So, you can find us most places online.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And that is Postalytics, spelled Postalytics.com, as always linked in the description of the video and the audio experience. Dennis, thank you so much. This has been a really interesting conversation. I'm happy to have learned even more about how to kind of marry the digital and the analog world in marketing. This has been great.
Awesome. Lisa, Francois, thank you so much. It's been great having this conversation with you, and I hope that your audience enjoys it, and we'll look forward to the launch in January.
I'm sure that they
Sounds
have.
good.
And for anybody who was watching or listening, please be sure to, as always, like, comment, share with your friends, subscribe to the show, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you never miss a conversation with leaders in supply chain and e-commerce like Dennis Kelly with Postalytics. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.